Hey guys, Sean, founder of Shock Surplus here. We've got a brand new Mustang and we'll be diving into just all the available struts, factory replacement shocks and struts available for the Mustang. These are going to kind of cover 05 and up. Some options are going to be available for individual years, some have quick full assemblies, some do not, but we're just going to give a general rundown of what to expect out of the different brands here. What we do here at Shock Surplus is we test all of these kind of shocks on a wide range of vehicles. A Mustang is just one of them. We do off-road shocks, we do track shocks, we do street daily driver comfort oriented shocks. We're rebuilding shocks here. We are doing custom assemblies. So when we talk about shocks, that's all we focus on all the time. So we hope we give you some information here that'll let you guys have an informed decision when you're shopping for your Mustang shocks. So let's just dive into it. We've got 7 different brands here. We've got Monroe, we've got KYB, Eibach, Petters, Koni, and Bilstein. Oh, and another Koni, so only 6 brands, my apologies. We're basically going from softest to high performance. There's even more high performance options beyond this, but that's when you start to get into coilovers and lowering springs and the combination of such. This video is just going to be solely focused on replacing your factory units with something a little bit better or something equivalent to factory. So Monroe is one of the very few options that have a full assembled unit, which includes the top hat, the coil springs, and the strut. Which means you can order them and do the installation yourself. Super easy in the driveway. It's pretty painless. Might take you a little while, but these are going to be the most factory replacement you can get without ordering directly from Ford. Before I go any further, the fronts are struts, as you see here. The rear on the Mustangs are straight shocks, which are extremely easy to replace. You don't need a coil spring compressor to replace the rear shocks. You will need to compress the front coil springs in order to replace the front units. So that's typically the hardest part in changing out your own shocks on the Mustang. KYB is going to be, this is the XLG version, and this is basically straight factory replacement. Extremely similar, if not identical builds to the Monroe. You're going to expect exactly the same as factory replacements. Typically we see Monroe and KYB about the same price. I think out of ride expectations, you wouldn't be hard pressed to be able to tell any difference between them. So really, we sell both of these. Whatever the price is least expensive, just go with that, and I think you won't regret that decision between Monroe and KYB. Eibach is going to be classified as a ride handling upgrade. You still maintain kind of the soft, maintain some of the soft, smoother handling characteristics of the car, but increase the handling. So the Eibach Pro dampers, they come as a set of 4, whereas a lot of these other ones come individual. So we actually have these Eibach Pro dampers on the Charger that we'll have another video on. So Eibach, an upgrade over factory handling, but maintains a little bit of that forgiving, kind of softer ride characteristics. When you start getting into Petters, that's when you start kind of amping up the performance a little bit. I think between Eibach, Petters, and the Koni Street, all of the comfort kind of considerations are very, very close. You'll have to be a big stickler for rebound and compression and all the kind of shock nerd talk to be able to tell the difference between these 3 shocks right here. Very similar construction. Petters and Koni, they are both improved handling, but they also get a little bit firmer definitely firmer than factory replacements, definitely firmer than the Eibach Pro dampers. So if you want better handling, but still maintain some civility with your ride and maintain some comfort, then Petters and Koni are going to be really, really good options. Both of these can be used with lowered coil springs. I know there's springs ranging from 1/2 inch all the way up to 2.5 inches of lowered height on these Mustangs. The lower you go with coil springs, the more harsh the ride is going to be, and no damper is going to be able to recover that comfort. So just kind of throwing that out there. When you start getting into Bilstein, this is where you start losing road comfort in exchange for performance and handling. I think out of this entire setup here, these Bilstein B6 are going to be the firmest handling out there, which a lot of people like. They pair very well with lowered coil springs, handle very well. These are also a monotube construction, whereas everything else on this table is twin tube. Bilstein is famous for their durability, their monotube design, very low warranty claims. I think Bilstein is going to be the longest lasting shock on this entire table. That's just from a lot of customer feedback. I've never had a Bilstein shock blow on one of my own vehicles, and we've easily put tens of thousands of miles on our own vehicles on Bilstein alone. This is the Koni adjustable series strut. Up here that you can't see right now, didn't take this off, but there's a tool to adjust the damping in these Koni shocks, which provide a significant control over like ride characteristics and comfort as well. These are very good for running with lowering springs because the lowering springs are going to affect the ride quality by themselves. A lot of the times when people are doing lowering springs, they are also doing new wheel and tire combinations, which wheel and tires by themselves also affect ride quality, which a lot of people don't realize this, because when you're looking at factory wheels, maybe the factory wheels are 18s or 19s or 17s. When you do a larger wheel, like a 20-inch or 21-inch wheel, and you reduce the rubber, that is going to increase a lot of road feedback to the driver and the chassis, because there's less rubber eating up the daily chatter or the track, small bumps and holes around the pavement. So Koni is great for being like a preemptive move against that. You know you're going to get lowering springs. You know you want a performance damper. You know you're changing out your wheels and tires. The Koni, I found, is really good for all of that because of how versatile it is through the adjustments. As far as the pricing is concerned, obviously least expensive all the way up to most expensive. When you're looking at an adjustable Koni strut like this, these can get into the $300 to $400 range per corner. Similar with Bilstein, these are about $300 per corner. Koni about $250, Petters about $250. Eibach, about $200 per corner, and then KYB and Monroe are about $140, $150 and change, depending on if it's an assembled unit or the strut by itself. In terms of durability, Eibach has extremely solid durability. You can't really go wrong on these five. Monroe and KYB, Gabriel, Unity, Sachs, Sensen. These are all pretty familiar factory replacement struts and shocks. They're all budget level, very inexpensive. So the durability there, they're not going to fail on you prematurely, but you are going to need to replace them in the typical 50,000 mile range that a lot of shops kind of recommend on a shock and strut replacement. Bilstein, Koni, Petters, you could easily get 100,000 miles out of these three right here with no fuss on a daily driver that doesn't really see a lot of aggressive driving. So I hope that answers a bunch of your guys' questions. Hit us up in the comments, email us at support@shocksurplus.com. We would love to help out. Once again, not all of these shocks are available for every single Mustang out there. We're really focusing on the 2005 through 2020 model. The options are going to change here and there, but we are definitely willing to help out and kind of give you some guidance according to your specific driving needs. I always like to say there is no one best shock out there. It's really what is best for you. Thanks so much for watching. Let us know how we can help.